President Jinju Wu stood at the great window of the New Republic Assembly Hall, watching ships from dozens of species dock at the orbital station. 1 year had passed since the Dominion's surrender. The galaxy was learning to live without fear, without slavery, without the constant threat of genocide. It wasn't easy. 3 centuries of oppression couldn't be healed overnight. "The final vote is in," said Chancellor Dongmin Yoon, entering the president's office. He carried a data tablet showing the results from across the galaxy. "The Constitutional Convention has approved the Galactic Charter of Rights. Every species in the Republic has signed it." President Wu smiled. The charter was humanity's gift to the galaxy. It guaranteed freedom, equality, and protection for all sentient life. No more slavery, no more genocide, no more conquest of weaker species. "What about the war crimes trials?" she asked. "Completed yesterday," Chancellor Yoon replied. "Emperor Tharkas and his inner circle were sentenced to life imprisonment. General Vorthak and the military commanders received 25 years of supervised rehabilitation. The lower-level officials will serve 10 years of community service, helping to rebuild the worlds they destroyed. It was justice, but not revenge. The trials had been fair, conducted under galactic law with evidence carefully presented and defenses allowed. Many humans had wanted harsher punishments. Some had demanded execution. But humanity had chosen to be better than their enemies." Admiral Yejin Cho entered the office next. She commanded the peacekeeping forces that maintained order in former Dominion territories. "President Wu, I have the monthly report from the integration zones. How are the former Dominion worlds adapting?" President Wu asked. "Better than expected," Admiral Cho replied. "The Valkyrie colonies in Sector 7 have established democratic governments. The Threnari homeworld is building schools instead of weapons factories. Crime rates are down across all former Dominion territories. Any resistance movements? A few isolated groups who want to restore the old empire. But they have no popular support. Most aliens prefer freedom to oppression, it turns out." Dr. Han-Suk Jung arrived last. He directed the massive reconstruction efforts across the galaxy. Under his leadership, human technology was being shared freely with all species. Planets devastated by centuries of exploitation were being restored. Enslaved populations were being relocated to new homes. "Doctor, what's the status of the Earth Restoration Project?" President Wu asked. Dr. Jung activated a holographic display showing the solar system. Earth hung in space, no longer the dead rock it had been for 3 centuries. Atmosphere processors were working to restore breathable air. Ocean generators were refilling the seas. Carefully preserved genetic material was being used to bring back extinct species. "The atmosphere will be breathable in 5 years, Dr. Jung reported. "The oceans will be stable in 10. Full ecological restoration will take 50 years, but we can begin resettlement in 20. President Wu felt tears in her eyes. Earth would live again. Humanity would return home. The circle would be complete. "What about the memorial?" she asked. "Completed last month," Dr. Jung said proudly. "It covers 10 square kilometers near the former location of Seoul. Every human who died in the genocide is named on the walls. Every colony that was destroyed is remembered. Every ship that was lost is honored. The memorial was more than just a monument to the dead. It was a reminder to the living, a promise that such horrors would never happen again." Alien diplomats and leaders were required to visit it as part of their education about humanity and the new galactic order. "I want to visit the memorial next week," President Wu decided. "And I want representatives from every species in the Republic to join me. Let them see what hatred and fear can do. Let them understand why we built something better." Chancellor Yoon consulted his calendar. "I'll arrange it. Should we include the former Dominion leaders? Especially them. Emperor Tharkas needs to see what his empire built on. Maybe he'll finally understand why it had to fall." Admiral Cho brought up another display. This one showed the new Galactic Defense Network. Human ships patrolled trade routes, protected weak worlds from pirates, and responded to natural disasters. But unlike the old Dominion fleets, they weren't conquerors. They were protectors. "The Republic fleet now includes volunteers from 47 species," Admiral Cho reported. "Humans still command the largest ships, but we're training alien officers for independent commands. In 10 years, the galaxy will be able to defend itself without depending on us." That was the goal. Humanity didn't want to rule the galaxy. They wanted to guide it toward something better, then step back and let it govern itself. True freedom meant the freedom to succeed or fail without human interference. Dr. Jung opened another file. President, I have a special report you should see. It's about the children. The display showed schools on dozens of worlds, human, Valkyrie, Threnari, and other species learning together, playing together, growing up as friends instead of enemies. The integration programs are working beyond our best projections, Dr. Jung continued. Children who grow up together don't develop the racial hatreds their parents had. In one generation, maybe two, the old prejudices will be extinct. President Wu watched alien children laughing as they played with human children. These kids would inherit a galaxy without slavery, without genocide, without the fear that had ruled their grandparents' lives. This is our real victory, she said quietly. Not the ships we built or the battles we won. This, a generation that will be better than we are. Chancellor Yoon brought up the final item on their agenda. President, we've received formal requests from 3 more species to join the Republic. The Kelthani, the Morphi, and the Stellari, all former Dominion subject races. What are their reasons for joining? Economic opportunity, protection from pirates, and access to human technology. But I think the real reason is hope. For the first time in their history, they see a galaxy where small species can be safe. President Wu approved the applications. The new Galactic Republic would welcome them, just as it had welcomed every species that chose freedom over oppression. As the meeting ended, President Wu returned to her window. Outside, she could see the traffic of a thriving civilization. Trade ships carrying goods between species that had once been enemies, scientific vessels sharing research and knowledge, cultural exchanges spreading art and music across the galaxy. But the most beautiful sight was a small shuttle approaching the station. It carried the flag of New Earth, the first human colony to be established since the return from exile. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were thriving. They were growing. They were building the future they had dreamed of during 3 centuries in the darkness. Her communication device chimed with an incoming message. It was from the captain of a deep space exploration vessel. President Wu, this is Captain Taewon Park of the Starship Pioneer. We've reached the edge of the galaxy. We're beginning surveys of intergalactic space. Who knows what we'll find out there? President Wu smiled. Humanity had always been explorers. Even when they were refugees hiding in the void, they had kept looking outward, wondering what lay beyond the next star. Now they were free to explore again, free to discover, free to grow. Good luck, Captain Park, she replied. Remember to be careful out there. And if you find new civilizations, remember what we learned. Sometimes the greatest victory is choosing mercy over revenge. The message ended. President Wu returned to her desk, where 1,000 decisions waited for her attention. The work of building a better galaxy was never finished. There would always be new challenges, new problems, new opportunities to choose between justice and vengeance. But humanity had proven they could make the right choice. They had faced their greatest test and emerged not as conquerors but as leaders, not as destroyers but as builders. The galaxy was theirs now. Not because they had taken it by force, but because they had earned it through wisdom, courage, and mercy. And in the restored skies of Earth, where new cities were rising from the ashes of the old, children born free would learn the greatest lesson of all, that the strongest people are those who choose to protect the weak, and the greatest civilizations are those that choose justice over revenge. The age of humanity had begun, and it would be an age of hope. Fleet Admiral Ji-hoon Bae stood on the bridge of the human flagship as it emerged from hyperspace. Around him, 10,000 ships materialized in perfect formation around Valkar Prime, the capital world of the Galactic Dominion. For 300 years, this planet had been the center of an empire that ruled through fear and genocide. Today, that empire would face judgment. The alien defense fleets were waiting. Every ship the Dominion could gather was positioned around their homeworld. 5,000 vessels representing the military might of 200,000 star systems. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. It wasn't enough. Admiral, they're hailing us, said the communication officer. Let them talk, Admiral Bae replied. He was 55 years old, born in the hidden colonies of humanity's exile. His entire life had been preparation for this moment. Emperor Tharkus appeared on the main screen. Behind him stood the leaders of every species in the Dominion, Valkyrie, Threnari, and dozens of others. They all looked afraid. Admiral Bae, surely we can reach an agreement, the Emperor said. The Dominion has resources, territory, knowledge. We can offer you anything you want. Can you offer me Earth? Admiral Bay asked quietly. Can you bring back the 8 billion humans your empire murdered? Can you return the 47 colonies you destroyed? The Emperor was silent. They all knew the answer. Ambassador Yunji Li stepped forward on the human bridge. She was tall and elegant with the refined features of someone born in space, but her eyes held the same cold fire that burned in every human heart. Emperor Tharkas, she said formally, I am Ambassador Yunji Li, representing the unified human colonies. I come with an offer of mercy and a demand for justice. What do you want? The Emperor asked. Complete surrender of all Dominion forces, the immediate dissolution of your empire, and the surrender of all individuals responsible for the genocide of humanity, to face trial for crimes against sentient life. The aliens on the screen looked at each other nervously. They had hoped for negotiation, for some way to keep their power. They were learning that humanity was not interested in bargaining. You can't be serious, said General Vorthak, the supreme military commander of the Threnari. You want us to give up everything? Our entire civilization? Your civilization is built on the bones of my people, Ambassador Li replied. Yes, I want you to give it up. All of it. General Kyunghwan Park activated another display. It showed a massive holographic courtroom that had been constructed in space near the human fleet. Inside, alien prisoners sat in energy restraints. These were the war criminals that human forces had captured during their campaign. The trials have already begun, General Park announced. We have documented evidence of genocide, slavery, forced relocation, and biological warfare committed by the Dominion over the past 5 centuries. Not just against humans, but against dozens of species. The evidence was overwhelming. 3 centuries of patient intelligence gathering had given humanity detailed records of every crime the Dominion had committed. Names, dates, locations, orders, communications. Everything needed for perfect justice. Dr. Solgi Yang appeared on another channel. She was broadcasting from a hidden laboratory deep inside the human fleet. Behind her, complex biological equipment hummed with power. Emperor Tharkas, let me show you something interesting, Dr. Yang said. She activated a holographic display that showed Valkyrie and Threnari DNA structures. This is what we could do to your species if we chose revenge over justice. The display showed how a specially designed virus could target the genetic markers unique to each alien race. It could kill every Valkyrie in the galaxy in a matter of weeks, every Threnari in a matter of days, every member of every species that had participated in the genocide. We have the power to do to you exactly what you did to us, Dr. Yang continued. Total extinction. No survivors, no hope, no future. The aliens on the screen looked horrified. They finally understood what humanity had become during their long exile. Not just survivors, but the potential destroyers of entire species. But we won't, Admiral Bay said firmly, because we are not you. We are better than you. We choose justice over revenge. We choose to build instead of destroy. The Emperor looked confused. I don't understand. If you have the power to kill us all, why don't you? We would have killed you. That's the difference between humans and the Dominion, Ambassador Li explained. You rule through fear. We lead through hope. You create enemies. We build allies. You destroy potential. We nurture it. Admiral Bay activated the final display. It showed a new galactic map. The red territories of the Dominion were being replaced by blue territories marked as free worlds. Dozens of species that had been enslaved by the aliens were declaring independence. Hundreds of colonies were requesting human protection. Your empire is already gone, Admiral Bay said. Half your territories have declared independence. Your military commanders are surrendering to preserve their home worlds. Your own people are turning against you. What will happen to us? Asked Counselor Zethus, the chief administrator of the Threnari colonies. That depends on your choices, Ambassador Li replied. Those who surrender peacefully will be treated with mercy. Those who committed war crimes will face trial, but they will receive fair justice under galactic law. Those who continue to fight will be destroyed. And our species, our cultures, will survive if you let them evolve beyond genocide and slavery. We're not interested in destroying you. We're interested in making sure you never again have the power to destroy others. The Emperor looked around at his advisors. They were the leaders of the most powerful empire in galactic history. Yesterday, they had controlled 200,000 star systems. Today, they were begging for mercy from the descendants of people they had tried to exterminate. You're offering us survival, the Emperor said slowly. I'm offering you the chance to become something better than what you are, Admiral Bay replied. The same chance you should have offered humanity 3 centuries ago. The alien leaders talked among themselves in low voices. Some wanted to keep fighting. Others wanted to accept the human terms. A few suggested trying to escape to distant galaxies. Time's up, Admiral Bay announced. I need your answer now. Emperor Tharkus looked directly into the camera. His proud, cruel features were now marked by defeat and fear. The Dominion surrenders unconditionally to human forces. Across the galaxy, the news spread instantly through quantum communication networks. The war was over. Humanity had won. The most powerful empire in galactic history had fallen to the descendants of refugees they had tried to kill. But the victory was not complete. Justice still needed to be served. General Park, begin the arrest procedures, Admiral Bay ordered. Every war criminal on our list is to be taken into custody immediately. No exceptions. What about the others? Ambassador Lee asked. The ones who just followed orders? Admiral Bay considered this carefully. Justice and mercy had to be balanced. Punishment and forgiveness had to serve the greater good. Supervised rehabilitation, he decided. They'll work to rebuild the worlds they helped destroy. They'll learn to live without slaves and conquest. And their children will grow up in a galaxy where genocide is impossible. As human forces began occupying Dominion territories, Admiral Bay received a final message from Earth. The planet was still a dead rock, but human ships were already there beginning the long work of restoration. Admiral, this is Captain Minji Seo at Earth Station 1. The memorial construction is beginning. We're building it exactly as planned. Every name, every world, every life that was lost. Admiral Bay nodded. Good. Make sure the Dominion leaders see it during their trials. Let them understand exactly what they destroyed. The great ships of humanity spread across the galaxy, bringing law and order to 1,000 worlds. The age of the Dominion was ending. The age of justice was beginning. And humanity, the species that had been marked for extinction, would write the next chapter of galactic history. Admiral Taehyun Oh stood in the command center of the human fleet flagship. Around him, holographic displays showed 12 different star systems. In each system, Dominion worlds burned under human attack. But these were not the random strikes of desperate refugees. This was the calculated warfare of a species that had spent 3 centuries planning revenge. Report from Strike Team 7, said Colonel Cheong. Anne. She commanded the special forces that had just hit the Threnari homeworld. Military command centers destroyed. Government buildings reduced to rubble. Civilian casualties 0. Admiral O nodded with satisfaction. That was the key to their campaign. Humans could have killed billions of aliens in the first hour of their return. Instead, they chose to be precise. They destroyed only military targets. They captured government officials instead of killing them. They showed mercy where none had been shown to them. This mercy terrified the Dominion more than any weapon could. What about the defense fleets? Admiral O asked. Gone, Colonel Ann reported. Captain Borum Shin's fighter squadron destroyed the 3rd Armada at Kepler Station. 200 alien ships eliminated. Our losses 0. Dr. Seungmin Yu looked up from his psychological warfare station. He was tall and thin, with the pale skin of someone who spent all his time studying alien minds. The psychological impact is working better than we hoped. Dominion worlds are requesting independent peace treaties. The Empire is falling apart. On the main screen, Admiral O could see the battle at Kepler Station replaying. Captain Shin's fighters moved like deadly dancers through space. They were small, fast, and completely invisible to alien sensors. The Dominion ships fired wildly at empty space while human weapons tore them apart from impossible angles. The alien admiral commanding the 3rd Armada had sent a final message before his ship exploded. What are they? How do they move like that? Our weapons can't touch them. He died never knowing the answer. Human technology had advanced beyond anything the Dominion could understand. 300 years of focused development had created miracles. Sir, incoming message from Valkar Prime, said the communication officer. Admiral O smiled coldly. Valkar Prime was the capital world of the entire Dominion. If they were calling, it meant the Emperor himself was involved. Put it through. The hologram showed Emperor Tharkus, the supreme ruler of the Valkyrie race. He was old and scarred, with the kind of cruel intelligence that had built the Dominion. But today he looked afraid. Humans of the Void, the Emperor said. I am Emperor Tharkus of the Galactic Dominion. I seek negotiation. Name your terms, Admiral O. Let the silence stretch. Around him, his officers waited. They had dreamed of this moment their entire lives. The proud aliens who had committed genocide were begging for mercy. Emperor Tharkas, Admiral O said finally, I am Admiral Taehyun O of the Human Naval Forces. I will give you the same chance for negotiation that you gave Earth 300 years ago. He ended the transmission. Dr. Yu laughed quietly. That will spread panic through their entire government. They know exactly what chance they gave Earth. Good, said Colonel Ann. Let them be afraid. My people were afraid when their worlds burned. Turnabout is fair play. Admiral O walked to the tactical display. It showed the entire galaxy. Red dots marked Dominion territories. They controlled over 200,000 star systems. Blue dots showed human forces. Less than 100 systems. But those 100 systems were strategically placed to control all the major trade routes and military positions. Status report from all theaters. Admiral O ordered. The reports came in from across the galaxy. Human forces had struck the Dominion simultaneously in 12 sectors. The attacks had been coordinated with impossible precision. While the aliens still used slow communication systems, humans had perfected instantaneous quantum transmission. Every human ship in the galaxy could talk to every other ship in real time. The Rigel sector is under our control, reported General Kyunghwan Park from his ground forces. The alien colonial government surrendered after we demonstrated our orbital bombardment capabilities. No shots fired. Excellent. What about civilian reaction? The colonists are celebrating, General Park said with amusement. Apparently, the Dominion was not popular with its subject peoples. Some worlds are declaring independence just because they think we'll protect them. Captain Borm Shin appeared on another channel. She was young, barely 25, but she flew better than anyone in the fleet. Admiral, the alien defense networks are completely compromised. Every time they change their codes, we break them in minutes. It's like they're using children's toys. That's because they are, Dr. Yu explained. The Dominion never faced a real challenge before. They built their technology to fight primitives, not equals. We've been studying their systems for 3 centuries. We know their weaknesses better than they do. Admiral O studied the galactic map. The Dominion was vast, but it was also fragile. It held together through fear and overwhelming force. But what happened when that force was suddenly matched? What happened when the oppressed saw their oppressors humbled? Sir, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 worlds, the communication officer reported. They want to join the Human Alliance. What's our policy on that? Colonel An asked. Accept them all, Admiral O decided. But make it clear that joining humanity means adopting human values. No more slavery. No more genocide. No more conquest for its own sake. Dr. Yu activated his propaganda broadcasts. Across the galaxy, every communication channel suddenly carried the same message. Videos of human mercy. Images of Dominion cruelty. Testimonials from liberated worlds. Citizens of the galaxy, Dr. Yu's voice echoed through space. For 3 centuries, the Dominion has told you that might makes right. That the strong should rule the weak. That genocide is acceptable if it serves the Empire. The broadcast showed footage of the original human genocide. Planets burning, children dying, families torn apart. Then it showed recent footage of human soldiers helping alien refugees, human doctors treating alien wounded, human engineers rebuilding destroyed cities. Humanity offers a different way, the voice continued. We could have responded to genocide with genocide. We could have burned your worlds as you burned ours. Instead, we offer justice. We offer peace. We offer the chance to build something better. The broadcast ended with a simple message. Choose. Across the galaxy, worlds began choosing. The Dominion's communication networks filled with reports of rebellion. Colonial governments declaring independence. Military commanders refusing orders. Entire fleets switching sides. Emperor Tharkas sent another message. This time he looked desperate. Admiral O, please respond. We can negotiate. We can find a peaceful solution. Admiral O considered ignoring him again, but mercy had to have limits. Even human mercy. Emperor Tharkas, he replied. You want to negotiate? Very well. Here are humanity's terms. Complete and unconditional surrender. All Dominion forces to stand down immediately. All war criminals to be handed over for trial. All conquered worlds to be freed. All stolen territory to be returned. And in return? The Emperor asked. In return, we won't exterminate your species. That's more mercy than you showed us. The Emperor's image flickered and died. Admiral O knew he would be back. Tyrants always tried to negotiate when they were losing. They thought everyone else was as cruel and ruthless as they were. They were about to learn that humanity was something different, something better, something that remembered both justice and mercy. All ships prepare for the final assault, Admiral O ordered. Target Valkar Prime, it's time to end this war. Around him, the human fleet prepared to deliver the killing blow to an empire built on genocide. But even now, even at the moment of total victory, they would show mercy to their enemies. It was what made them human. It was what made them better. It was what would make them worthy to rule the galaxy they were about to inherit. Captain Minho Seo sat in the dark bridge of his ship, watching the alien vessel approach. The Dominion patrol ship was huge, bristling with weapons. It moved slowly, scanning space for threats. It found nothing. Human technology made sure of that. The Retribution hung invisible in space near the dead world that used to be New Sol. Once 2 million humans had lived on this planet. Now it was just rocks and radiation, a monument to Dominion cruelty. "Captain, they're taking the bait," said Lieutenant Jisoo Kwan. She was young but deadly, trained from birth to fight aliens. "The fake distress signal is working. They think they found a derelict ship." Minho smiled without humor. The derelict ship was actually a perfectly functional human vessel. It just looked old and broken. Inside, Dr. Hyunwoo Nam waited with his special gifts for their alien visitors. "Are you ready, Doctor?" Minho asked through the communication system. "More than ready," came the reply. "I've been waiting 300 years for this moment. Well, my ancestors have. Same thing." The alien ship moved closer. Minho could see Valkyrie and Threnari crew members moving behind the windows. They looked confident. They owned this galaxy. They had nothing to fear from empty space. They were wrong. "The boarding party is launching," Lieutenant Kwan reported. 12 aliens, all armed. Standard Dominion patrol equipment. "Let them board," Minho ordered. "But be ready to move the moment Dr. Nam gives the signal." The aliens landed on the fake derelict ship. They cut through the hull with their weapons. Minho watched on hidden cameras as they explored the corridors. They found exactly what he wanted them to find. Dr. Nam met them in the central chamber. He was dressed in old human clothes, looking injured and desperate. The aliens surrounded him with their weapons raised. "Please," Dr. Nam said in perfect Valkyrie language. "Help me. My ship has been drifting for months. My crew is dead." The lead Valkyrie, a reptilian creature with scales and sharp teeth, looked suspicious. "You are human. Humans are extinct. We killed them all 300 years ago." "Not all," Dr. Nam said weakly. "A few ships escaped. We've been hiding, barely surviving. Please, I have important information about human technology." That got their attention. The Dominion was always looking for new weapons and technology. They had built their empire by stealing from weaker species. "What kind of information?" the Valkyrie demanded. Dr. Nam reached into his jacket. The aliens tensed, ready to shoot, but he only pulled out a data device. "Weapon designs, ship blueprints, everything my people created before the end." The Valkyrie took the device eagerly. He plugged it into his scanner. Information flowed across the screen. His eyes grew wide with greed. "This technology is impossible. These weapons could destroy entire fleets." "The humans were more advanced than we thought," said one of the Threnari soldiers. "It looked like a giant insect wearing armor. Command needs to see this immediately." "Agreed," the Valkyrie leader said. "You're coming with us, human. Our scientists will want to study you. And this technology." Dr. Nam nodded weakly. "Anything you want. I just want to live." They brought him aboard their ship. Minho watched through tiny cameras hidden in Dr. Nam's clothes. The aliens were excited. They thought they had found a treasure. They had found something much more dangerous. In the alien laboratory, Dr. Nam was strapped to a table. Dominion scientists began scanning him with their instruments. They wanted to learn everything about human biology and technology. "Fascinating," said the lead scientist. "A Threnari with extra arms for complex work." This human's DNA shows significant changes from our old records. They've been evolving. Evolving how? Asked the Valkyrie captain. Improved reflexes, enhanced intelligence, better resistance to radiation and disease. If this is what 300 years of survival did to them, we're fortunate we killed them when we did. Dr. Nam smiled on the table. The aliens didn't notice. They were too busy congratulating themselves on their ancient victory. Begin the deep scan, the Threnari scientist ordered. I want to know everything about how humans developed this technology. That was Dr. Nam's signal. He sent a coded message through the microscopic transmitter in his tooth. On the retribution, Minho received it immediately. Now, Minho ordered. Lieutenant Quan activated the ship's weapons. The retribution became visible for the first time, appearing right next to the alien vessel. But this was not the primitive human ship the aliens remembered. This was 3 centuries of human anger made real. The alien ship's weapons fired immediately. Bright energy beams struck the retribution's shields. The beams bounced off harmlessly. Human defensive technology had advanced far beyond what the Dominion could imagine. Impossible, the Valkyrie captain said, staring at his weapons display. Nothing can resist those beams. We destroyed entire human fleets with them. On the alien ship, Dr. Nam sat up on the examination table. The straps that held him were already broken. He had strength far beyond what the aliens expected. That was 300 years ago, he said calmly. We've learned a few things since then. The Threnari scientist reached for an alarm. Dr. Nam moved faster than alien eyes could follow. His hand closed around the creature's throat. I wouldn't do that. Alarms began ringing anyway, but they were the wrong kind of alarms. They were medical alarms. The biological samples Dr. Nam had brought were doing their work. The virus he had released was spreading through the ship's air system. It wasn't lethal. That would have been too quick. Instead, it caused terrible pain and weakness. The aliens fell to their knees, unable to fight, barely able to think. What have you done? The Valkyrie captain gasped. I've given you a taste of what my people felt when you burned our worlds, Dr. Nam said. But don't worry, you won't die. That would be too merciful. The retribution attached to the alien ship. Human soldiers in advanced armor boarded through the airlocks. They moved through the corridors like deadly shadows, capturing every alien on board. Minho entered the bridge last. He looked around at the alien crew lying helpless on the floor. These creatures had celebrated the genocide of his people. They had built their careers on human graves. Captain Minho Seo of the Human Naval Forces, he said, activating the ship's communication system. His message would reach every Dominion vessel in this sector. Let me reintroduce humanity to the galaxy. On the screens throughout the alien ship, images appeared. Pictures of Earth burning, videos of human children dying, records of the Dominion's genocide 3 centuries ago. You thought you killed us all, Minho continued. You divided up our territories. You celebrated your great victory. You built an empire on the ashes of our civilization. The aliens watched in growing horror as more images appeared. Human cities in space, massive fleets of ships they had never seen. Weapons that made their own technology look like stone knives. But we survived, we grew, we evolved, and now we're home. Minho walked to the main console. He began downloading every piece of information the ship contained. Military codes, fleet positions, government communications. Everything humanity needed to know about their enemies. You wanted to see what humans might become if you let us live, he said. Well, you're about to find out. We are everything you feared we could be. We are everything you should have been afraid of. The download finished. Minho activated the ship's self-destruct system. The aliens would have 60 seconds to abandon ship, more mercy than they had shown humanity. As he returned to the retribution, Minho opened a channel to all Dominion frequencies. His final message echoed across dozens of star systems. We remember. We return. We reclaim. The age of the Dominion is ending. The age of humanity has begun. The alien ship exploded behind them as the retribution disappeared into hyperspace. Across the galaxy, Dominion leaders received the transmission with growing panic. The extinct humans had returned, and they were no longer the helpless victims of 3 centuries ago. The real war was about to begin. Commander Ji-won Kim stood on the bridge of the defense station above Earth. Through the large windows, she could see the blue planet below. It looked peaceful, too peaceful for what was coming. The warning signals had been screaming for 3 hours. 12 alien ships, each the size of a city, moved toward Earth. They came from the Galactic Dominion. The aliens had found humanity just 6 months ago. At first, humans thought it was good news. They were not alone in the universe, but the aliens did not want friends. They wanted Earth gone. "Commander, they're not answering our calls," said Captain Dae-hyun Lee. His voice was calm, but Ji-won could see the fear in his eyes. "Our ships are in position, but we're outnumbered 10-1. Ji-won nodded. She had expected this. The Dominion was led by 2 alien races. The Valkyrie looked like giant lizards with sharp teeth. The Threnari were like huge insects with metal armor. Both races hated humans. Dr. Minji Park ran onto the bridge. Her lab coat was dirty and her hair was messy. "Commander, I've been studying their technology. Their weapons are at least 200 years ahead of ours. We can't win this fight." "Then what do you suggest, Doctor?" Ji-won asked. "We save who we can. I've prepared the evacuation ships. We can get maybe 200,000 people out. The rest..." Dr. Park stopped talking. They all knew what would happen to the rest. Yuna Choi, only 19 years old, sat at her computer station. She was the best hacker humanity had ever produced. Her fingers moved fast across the keyboard. "I'm trying to break into their communication system. Maybe we can learn something useful." The first attack came without warning. Bright red beams shot down from the alien ships. They hit the human defense fleet. One by one, the human ships exploded into balls of fire. Captain Lee watched his friends die on the screens in front of him. "All defense stations fall back to Earth," Ji-won ordered. But she knew it was too late. The alien ships moved closer to Earth. They fired their weapons at the planet. Cities burned. Oceans boiled. Mountains melted. 8 billion people lived on Earth. In 6 hours, most of them were dead. "We have to go now," Dr. Park said. She pulled Ji-won toward the escape pods. "The evacuation ships are waiting." Ji-won looked back at Earth one last time. Her home was dying. Her people were dying, but she had to survive. Someone had to remember what happened here. The escape pod shot away from the station just as alien weapons destroyed it. They flew toward the evacuation ships. 20 large ships waited in space behind the moon. Each ship could hold 10,000 people. They were the last humans in the universe. Captain Lee was already on the main evacuation ship when Ji-won arrived. His face was hard as stone. "The colonies are gone too," he said. "All 47 human worlds. The aliens hit them all at the same time. We're all that's left." Dr. Park was working at a computer. "I've been checking the numbers. 200,000 humans survived. 8 billion died. The Dominion wanted to make sure we could never come back." Yuna looked up from her station. "I broke into their system for 30 seconds before they kicked me out. I heard them talking. They called it the Great Purge. They think humans are dangerous. They think we would become too powerful if we lived." "Dangerous?" Captain Lee laughed, but there was no humor in it. "We couldn't even fight back." "Maybe that's what made us dangerous," Dr. Park said quietly. "Our ability to learn, to grow, to become something they couldn't control." Ji-won stood in the center of the room. Around her, the last humans in the galaxy waited for orders. Children cried. Adults stared at screens showing their dead world. Everyone looked lost. "Listen to me," Ji-won said. Her voice was strong and clear. "Today we lost everything. Our homes, our families, our world. The aliens think they have won. They think humans are finished." She walked to the main screen. It showed the galaxy map. Thousands of stars controlled by the Dominion. But they made one mistake. They let some of us live. And as long as even one human draws breath, humanity is not dead. Captain Lee stepped forward. "What are you saying, Commander?" "I'm saying we disappear. We go to the dark spaces between stars where they cannot find us. We learn, we grow. We prepare. And someday when we are ready, we come back." Dr. Park nodded slowly. "It could take centuries. Maybe longer. Then we take centuries," Ji-won said. "We build new ships. Better weapons. Stronger defenses. We become everything they feared we could become." Yuna smiled for the first time since the attack. "And then we show them what dangerous really means." The evacuation ships turned away from the solar system. Behind them, Earth burned like a dying star. The Dominion had won this day. They controlled the galaxy. They had erased humanity from existence. But in the dark space between stars, 200,000 humans began planning their return. Dr. Park started working on new technologies. Captain Lee trained new soldiers. Yuna learned everything she could about alien systems, and Commander Jiwon Kim made a promise to the empty space where Earth used to shine. We will remember. We will return, and when we do, there will be no mercy for those who burned our world. The Galactic Dominion thought humanity was extinct. They celebrated their victory. They divided up human territories among themselves. They built monuments to their great success. They never knew that in the cold dark beyond their borders, humanity was growing stronger. Every day, every year, every generation, humans prepared for the day they would return. The aliens had wanted to destroy humanity because they feared what humans might become. They were about to discover they had been right to be afraid. They just hadn't been afraid enough. 300 years would pass before the galaxy heard from humanity again, and when that day came, the Dominion would learn the price of genocide. They would learn what happened when you tried to kill humanity and failed. The last human ships disappeared into the darkness, but humanity's story was far from over. It was just beginning. Admiral Sunho Kang floated in zero gravity, watching his engineers work on the new ship. 300 years had passed since humanity fled into the darkness. 300 years of hiding, building, and waiting. The ship in front of him was unlike anything the old Earth had ever built. It was black as space itself, covered in technology that bent light around it. The aliens called these areas of space the void, because their sensors showed nothing here. They were wrong. Humanity lived in the void now. "Admiral, the test results are ready," said Dr. Haeun Song. She was tall and thin, like most humans born in space. 3 centuries of low gravity and careful breeding had changed humanity. They were stronger, faster, and smarter than their ancestors. Sunho followed her to the laboratory. Through the metal corridors, they passed thousands of people working. Some built weapons. Others grew food in huge gardens. Children studied alien languages and battle tactics. Everyone had a job. Everyone knew why they were here. "Show me," Sunho said. Dr. Song activated a hologram. It showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked Dominion territories. They covered most of the galaxy now. Blue dots showed human colonies. There were 57 blue dots hidden in dark nebulae and around dead stars. "Our population has grown to 50 million, Dr. Song reported. "We control 73 hidden bases across 36 sectors. The Dominion has no idea we exist." General Wu Jin Lim entered the laboratory. He was old, even for a human who lived twice as long as their ancestors. His family had been soldiers for 10 generations. "The spy networks are reporting increased Dominion activity in Sector 7. They're building a new fleet." Sunho studied the map. "How big?" 5,000 ships. They're calling it the Great Peace Fleet. Apparently some worlds are asking for independence. The Dominion wants to remind everyone who's in charge. Engineer So Young-Jon joined them. She was young, barely 30, but she designed ships better than anyone alive. "Admiral, the new ghost ships are ready for testing. We can make 50 vessels completely invisible to their sensors." "How invisible?" Sunho asked. "A ghost ship could land on their capital world and they wouldn't know it was there," So-young said with pride. "We've also improved the quantum drives. We can travel 10 times faster than Dominion ships." Dr. Song opened another hologram. This one showed alien DNA structures. "I've been studying the biological samples our spies collected. I found weaknesses in both Valkyrie and Threnari genetics. If we wanted to, we could create viruses that would target only them." General Lim raised his eyebrows. "You mean we could kill them all?" "Every single one of their species. In weeks." Dr. Song's voice was cold. "Just like they tried to do to us." Sunho was quiet for a long moment. Around him, his staff waited. These were the decisions that leaders had to make. The old humanity might have been horrified by the idea of genocide. But the old humanity was dead, burned with earth. "Keep that research ready," Sunho said finally. "But don't deploy it yet. We need to be better than they are, for now." The meeting was interrupted by alarms. A young woman ran into the laboratory. It was Communication Officer Nara Kim. "Admiral, we're receiving a priority message from Agent Nyon Huang." Nyon was one of their best spies. She had spent 20 years inside the Dominion, pretending to be a Valkyrie-human hybrid. It was dangerous work. If they discovered her, she would be tortured to death. Put it through, Sunho ordered. The hologram changed to show a tired-looking woman with hidden human features. Admiral, I have important news. The Dominion Council is planning something big. They're calling it the final expansion. They want to control every star in the galaxy within 50 years. General Lim stepped forward. What does that mean for us? It means they'll eventually find our hidden bases, Neon said. They're planning to send scout fleets into every empty system, every nebula, every dark corner of space. Nowhere will be safe. Sunho felt anger burning in his chest, the same anger every human carried, the anger that had kept them alive for 3 centuries. How long do we have? 5 years, maybe 10. After that, we're discovered for sure. The transmission ended. The laboratory was silent. Outside the windows, human children played in the corridors. They had been born free, never knowing the fear their grandparents had lived with. Soon they might know that fear again. Well, General Lim said, I guess that settles it. Dr. Song nodded. The Exodus Council has been debating this for years. Now we have our answer. Sunho understood. For 300 years, humans had argued about when to return. Some wanted to wait longer to become even stronger. Others said they were ready now. The decision had been made for them. Call the council meeting for tomorrow, Sunho ordered. All colony commanders, all department heads. It's time to vote. Engineer Soyoung smiled. It was not a nice smile. I'll start preparing the war fleets. How many ships can we deploy? General Lim asked. Right now? About 10,000. In 6 months, we could have 20,000 ready for combat. Dr. Song added. Plus the biological weapons if we choose to use them. Sunho walked to the window. Outside, he could see the artificial stars that lit their hidden city. Human ingenuity had built all of this. Human determination had kept them alive. Human unity had made them strong. The Dominion thinks we're extinct, he said quietly. They divided up our territories. They built their empire on our graves. They sleep peacefully, believing they won. He turned back to his staff. Tomorrow we vote. But I think we all know what the decision will be. It's time to go home. The next day, the Exodus Council met in the Great Chamber of Base Alpha. 57 colony commanders appeared as holograms. Every human settlement in the galaxy was represented. They debated for 6 hours. The vote was unanimous. Operation Homecoming would begin in 1 year. That night, Sunho stood in his private quarters looking at a picture of Earth. It was the last photograph taken before the planet burned. Blue oceans, white clouds, green continents, home. We kept our promise, he said to the image. We survived. We grew strong. Now we're coming back. In the hidden bases across the galaxy, humanity prepared for war. They built ships in secret factories. They trained soldiers in hidden academies. They planned the return with the patience of a species that had waited 3 centuries for justice. The Dominion had made one critical mistake. They had assumed that destroying most of humanity was the same as destroying all of humanity. They were about to learn the difference. Humanity was returning. And this time they would not be victims.